What does being part of a team mean to you? This is Tracy with Tracy Talks, a podcast about life, looking at life from a new perspective to gain wisdom and understanding in hopes to know yourself more. As I work to build the life that I truly want, a life that feels safe and secure and fulfilling and a place where I can grow and be nurtured. As I work to create that environment, I often look to my previous experiences as tools, as learning opportunities. And oftentimes in my past, I signed up for something because I was sold on the team aspect. And that goes back to joining an actual team in my younger years. That goes to a work environment. Oftentimes when companies post jobs, one of the first qualifications is must be able to work in a team setting. And that feels good when we say that, right? When we imagine a team, we imagine support. We imagine people around us who are going to step in and help us and support us and be on our team and cheer us on. That's what we envision, right? And so whether that is a team or a community or a family, so many of those structures should have the feeling of a place where you can feel safe and supported. That somebody's going to help you out, somebody's going to be on your team, somebody's going to cheer you on, and you're going to be doing the same. You're expected to do the same for other people. And that's what I think a lot of us hope for in our life, is to be surrounded by people who want the best for us. No matter whether it's a team, a job, a role, a family, we want to be surrounded by people who want to see us grow. And I don't know, maybe not everybody feels that way. But as I look to my past to help me understand what is it that I thrive in, what environment do I need, what is an environment that's best for me, those are our own questions to answer, that somebody else can't answer those for you. We really have to reflect on where we can communicate, can open up, can show the real you. What environment can you do that in? And that's something for you to answer, and it's something for me to answer. And as I look back at my past and I look back at the teams that I have been on, so many of those teams, and there were different ages, there were different companies, there were so many variations there. But yet there's been one similarity that I don't think we expect. So many of the times when I connected with somebody or I bonded with somebody, we bonded over trauma. We bonded over the mean boss who shouldn't have been promoted and doesn't do their job. We bonded over that. We bonded over the lack of training, the lack of preparation. We bonded over the mean person in the environment. We bonded over whether it was just a job that was hard to do. Either you're dealing with the public, there was a lot of complaining people, the hours were bad, the training was bad. You name it, and I experienced it. But my point is here, we didn't bond over the excellent training. We didn't bond over the supervisor that was really cheering us on. We didn't bond over a good experience. The times that I truly bonded with somebody in one of those teams, in one of those groups, it was because there were failures that were blatant. And it is making me wonder who has these positive team experiences. And if you have those examples, please share them. And whether it's just a gender dynamic, whereas women communicate on different levels and we talk about different topics versus men and the team environment, I will say that a lot of the companies that I worked for, but not all, and certainly not in my sports teams, a lot of those companies were male dominated, and that women were on the fringes and weren't really in the management of the company. And that just means that a lot of the structures were not geared towards women. It brings me back to, we say we want a team, we say we want a community, we say we want to be surrounded by people who support us. A place where we can be nurtured, a place where we can grow. But yet, so many of those communities involve and bring out some of the most hurtful and mean and degrading behaviors. I know people right now, and even I'm at that place in my life where I don't want to join a team. I don't want to have the dynamics where people attack and complain and compare and judge. I don't want to be a part of that. That isn't my basic nature. But yet, when I look back, all of these companies that I worked for, and they wanted someone who could fit into the team environment. And when I joined the team environment, there was not this welcoming. There was people who were looking to point out what I wasn't doing right, was looking to point out my shortcomings. There wasn't this open, welcoming environment that was established for me or anybody else to grow, to feel supported, to be nurtured. And what does that mean? Where do we find that? Where do people honestly find that? Certainly online, it's brutal. Some people are absolutely brutal with comments. And maybe that is just for content creators or influencers who have a large following. It just makes me question, what does the future look like for us? Is there going to be a place where we do feel safe to show up, where we do feel safe, where we are supported? And where does that start? In the environments that you're in, do you come together as a community? Do you really cheer each other on? If you do have that place, please share it with all of your friends. At this time in my life, I no longer want to give to something that doesn't have some sort of immediate return. And when you're younger in your life, you can invest time and effort into something, and it's like contributing to your 401k, that you're investing small amounts of whatever it is, and you know that that's going to grow and that's going to compound over time. I also can look back and see where I did invest in the company, the team, the environment, and I didn't have the return. That so many times, so many of those environments promised something they could never deliver on. But now, when I am working in the second half of my life, I am trusting that decision when I make that immediate gut reaction and I feel this isn't going to work out, I'm not going to continue to invest in it because I don't have the time on the back end to wait for something to accrue. It's never going to have a return. And like I said, it just made me reflect on so many times in my past when I was betting on the team being there for me, that the opportunity was going to have something for me, that if I just give a little bit harder, if I just invest a little bit more, if I show up and work my hardest, that it's going to have a return. And so many times it didn't. It didn't meet up to the promises. It didn't meet up to the expectations. And I'm legitimately asking, is my expectation out of line? Or is it that so many of these companies and organizations don't truly know how to support people or women or what? And what does that environment look like? What does that feel like? What does it really feel like to be supported? And do we know how to support each other? In most of my environments, there has always been at least one or two toxic individuals, highly toxic, that made the experience unbearable for the whole team, if not the whole department, if not everybody on the floor who didn't even have to work for them. We all know who the toxic person was. We all know. And yet, they still remained in the team, in the group, in the department. They still had the ability to impact the well-being, the health and well-being of the team. It's just something that I am, like I said, looking at for myself at this point in my life. I get skeptical of anything that's promoting a community, a safe place, a nurturing place, especially in a professional setting. Now, there are groups on social media that really do lock down who participates and how they participate and what is allowed and what is not allowed. And that's pretty amazing. But for a work environment, so many of them are still the Wild West where anything goes and it's a free-for-all. And it's just interesting. A lot of people are still fearful of walking away from whatever it is in their life that they know isn't good for them. That's not where I'm at. We don't always have the time we think we're going to have. And so I'm not going to spend it with people, with groups, with companies who don't provide a safe, nurturing place for everyone to participate. Thank you for listening to this podcast of Tracy Talks. Please like and share with others who would enjoy listening to this podcast. And until next time, we meet again.